What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, In the Mood, where I'll be going over all the sewing supplies you need to go ahead and get your project started. And a little bit more about my background. I'm a new YouTuber, new to the sewing world, but I want to share all my experiences, everything that I've learned, all the quick tips to help you sew more projects at the fastest rate that you can without losing that quality. So stay tuned, stay with me, like, subscribe, do anything you can to get me out there, and I will still produce as much videos as I can, even if I have 5 subscribers or followers, whatever, you know. I just keep going till the wheels fall off. Who cares? Okay, so stay tuned. These are going to be the top sewing supplies that you need to go ahead and get started. Everything that you need, and it's not a lot, which is really cool. So stay tuned. Please chat with me. I love to talk. I love to see what's on your guys' mind and want to see what you guys are thinking. Any project you have coming up, just let me know. Hit it down there. Not down there, but in the description box. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're gonna go first with scissors, cutters. So we have my favorite, the Rotary Cutter. This is about 60 millimeters. As far as in wide, be very careful because I've cut myself on this before, but this is really good for cutting straight lines, straight edges, and cutting fabric and not having it to fray a lot, actually, because with scissors you got to be very detailed, very precise, very careful to not have the edges of your fabric fray. Types of scissors. Let's go into my actual fabric cutting scissors that I don't mix in with my paper cutting scissors. Make sure you have 2, keep them separate. These are the only 2 I've really used, and I keep using them. They haven't dulled out on me yet. So go ahead and get you something that is comfortable for you, something that you like. I've had another pair of scissors that I actually really did not like, and I had to send them back because they were just cutting a lot of jagged edges on my fabrics, and I hated that. So I switched over to these pair of scissors right here. I got them from Amazon. I'm not trying to sell you guys anything, but I got them from Amazon, and they just cut like butter. So ever since then, I was like, these are only scissors I'm going to use for cutting fabric, no matter if I have to get 5 pairs, 6 pairs, 7 pairs. These right here cut like butter. Fiskars. These help you finish the edges of your fabric or edges of your garment after you finish constructing them, to help minimize all that fraying from certain fabrics like cotton fabrics and stuff like that. So I use these. I really don't use these that much, but they're nice to have. Thread cutters. I have 3 pairs of these bad boys. These are really amazing. And you see how crisp they sound? They cut thread like a beauty. I mean, they're quick, they're efficient. I even sometimes use them to rip out the seams. They just cut so beautifully and they're quick to use. I mean, go ahead and get you some of these. They're very cheap. One of my essentials. I mean, if you're gonna have those really nice scissors or something you're cutting all your nice fabric on, I recommend getting a cutting mat. I'm not exactly sure the measurements or size of this cutting mat. I think I bought it so long ago, but it is pretty big, and it cuts a lot of the fabric that I need. And that is a self-healing cutting mat. It has some really nice cool things about it as far as in measurements, and guides to help you when cutting on all the way up to 36 inches, which is really cool, because I cut a lot of straight lines and straight strips of fabric on this cutting mat, and also my garments that I'm going to construct. Other than that cutting mat, things you need to sew, I would recommend measuring tapes. I mean, this is like sewing basics right here. You always need to measure anything that you cut, any fabrics, any ribbons. I use this for everything. This. I really don't use this, but it's good. It folds. See this? I can go ahead and go around the collar lines, or it folds around my t-shirt. So I mean, it's really essential for if you have a form, you can just measure ahead on the shoulders or around the hip. This ruler grid is really amazing as well. It is about 24 inches. I use this to cut straight lines. It's thick enough where I can just go ahead and roll along my rotary cutter down along the fabric. And it's clear, see-through too, so it's really easy to use, especially when I line it up on top of my cutting mat. Next, clips and pins. Pins, magnetic pins, really amazing. Look how great these things are. They don't even fly away. Look, how freaking amazing are these? These I use every day. I don't use any other pens, really. Be careful not to iron over your pens. But pens, amazing. My other favorites, clips. These things are amazing when I need to go ahead and finish the ends and edges and finishes of my garments that I'm constructing, or shirts, anything like that. This is really good to hold it together and go ahead and sew. So I recommend these. I got them in a little tin box. How cool. Just don't step on them because they will hurt your foot. Now that we're getting a little deeper into the sewing, spools of thread. These are your two essentials. Always recommend when you're getting spools of thread for any specific fabric, you go ahead and get spools of thread that matches your fabric. So these two are essential that you need, but anything else after that in your projects, go ahead and get spools of thread that matches your fabric. That way your finishes can be a lot cleaner, especially if you're beginning. Your sewing is not going to be perfect. Your techniques are not going to be perfect yet. So get spools of thread that just beautifully matches in with your fabric. And I have all these bobbins. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? But guess what? Any type of fabric that I'm going to go ahead and work on next, I have all these to go ahead and use for my bottom stitching for the bobbin. These are already pre-loaded. It's not necessarily good to have them preloaded, but I like them because I don't really care about the bottom stitching, to be honest. That's probably a no-no, but I break the rules. I'm a little naughty. Some people have days where they just go ahead and load all of their clear, empty bobbins and to spend a day just filling them and 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 filling them until they're all done. And they spend the whole day doing that. I'm not going to do that. This is quick and it's efficient. I don't want to have to sit there and stop to go ahead and fill a bunch of these. So guess what? I buy these already pre-wound. Saves me a lot of time. Next, we talk about markings. Sharpie, essential for marking anything on your construction paper. I'll get into the construction paper next, but anything you need to mark on that, I use a Sharpie. It's really quick, really efficient. For fabric, Tailors chalk. It looks like this. Tailors chalk is sometimes good. I don't really use it that often, but it's always nice to have. Some fabrics that are too stretchy, this will stretch right along with it. So I don't really like this for stretchy fabrics, but for anything that's a little more stiff and has a little more structure, these are great for it, and they'll leave a nice little mark. It's erasable, it'll just come right off. There's also those really cool erasable markers, water soluble and stuff like that. I don't really use all that because I'm really time conscious with everything that I have going on. So I try to sew when I can. And I try to save as much time with sewing so I can make sure I'm getting out any of my projects or anything that I'm working on. Last but not least, my favorite, construction paper. This thing is amazing. It's thick enough, heavy enough. Brown paper is very affordable. I make my own patterns, so I put everything that I'm going to be patterning on this, which is really amazing and a lifesaver. Sometimes I don't even use a pattern. Like I said, I don't follow the rules all the time. Rule breaker. But you live and you learn. This is great if you want to be really detailed, really have your measurements down with making your own patterns, or you can just simply buy patterns. I don't really buy that many patterns because I'd rather invest that money into getting more fabrics. So, pattern paper. Alright guys, thank you for watching my first YouTube video on things you need to sew, top sewing supplies you need to get started with sewing. I hope you learned a little bit of information as I quickly went through that. I know it's not too long or too thorough, but I just wanted to give you guys some tips on things that I use so you guys can go ahead and get started with your own sewing projects. And like I said, these are the things that I use every single day that you really need. Everything else is a bunch of junk. I have a whole box full of junk that just sits there. Yay me. See you guys soon. Take care on the next video. If you have anything that you want to kind of anything you want me to kind of go over in the next couple of videos, just let me know. And I'll try to go ahead and make that on my next project or my next list of things to create for you guys. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and it'd be nice to hear from you. I'm out.